When I first came to Japan in 2005 as a young buck, I definitely stood out. Despite hours of studying the language, cultural training, living in the country, until I opened my mouth, honestly, I'm just seen as another tourist fouling up for everyone from expats and native Japanese alike. But it's true, bad tourists absolutely ruin Japan. And when you've got stuff like this,
秋の観光シーズンがピークを迎える中、観光客の急激な増加が住民の生活などに悪影響。
I can't say I blame them. In this video, I'm going to show you the top 4 cities that are completely being overrun by tourism, why you should avoid them, and where you should go instead that have a better trip than 99% of other tourists. And I got a few surprises for you along the way. But first, where do you even begin planning a trip to Japan? Well, I've got you covered with a free travel guide to Japan and the links in the description. So the first place on this list struggles with a bunch of issues. Overflowing trash, potential car accidents that kind of stem from people ignoring traffic laws, and public transit challenges that particularly affect the elderly. Restaurants along the main strip, Nakasuji, are overrun with crowds from as early as like 8 a.m. The rush and the lines and cars and taxis can be completely unbearable. One local was so worried about all the traffic and potential for accidents in Arashiyama because she was afraid to hit someone while riding her bike. And bike incidents in Japan are no joke. They come with real hefty fines. So if you're seeking a tranquil kind of bamboo forest without Kyoto's massive crowds, I've got a spot that's 20 minutes just outside of Kyoto for you. This spot inspired the story of Taketori no Monogatari. It spans like 1.8 kilometers, 1 mile for you Americans out there, with 8 different bamboo types, and it's rated as one of Japan's 100 best walks. Over 4,500 bamboo lights light up the bamboo grove, and each have like bamboo tubes that are filled with like water. When the sun sets, the illumination from the lanterns creates like an impressive, like super beautiful like view. The place I'm talking about is Muko City. Muko City is awesome. It's an impressive site. This walk is super peaceful and it's a great alternative. And also Muko City is known for its spicy food and tofu donuts. And your boy loves some donuts. There's even more alternatives with these sort of cool finds further down the list, but I'll get to those later. All right, this next one's a personal favorite and it's tough to sort of see it swamped like this. This city not only draws massive crowds, and because of that, like there's heaps of trash at times, but it's also a favorite backdrop for historical dramas, anime, and movies. For instance, there's one of my favorite manga, Slam Dunk, where there's a train station where you can take pictures and photos, and people literally stop in the middle of the street. They take pictures, they take photos, and it definitely disturbs locals who aren't expecting that. You got misuse of public toilets, which is off the charts. People are flushing everything from hand warmers to dango sticks, which lead to some serious plumbing issues and restricted bathroom access. In fact, where the city's like, hey, you can't use this bathroom. So over-tourism in Kamakura has even caused train delays, like I mentioned, with tourists stopping to snap photos of this, like the famous manga scene from Slam Dunk. And the spot in Kamakura itself sees up to 10 times more tourists, I think, per capita than Kyoto. This isn't Japanese, but it's definitely no bueno. So people love Kamakura because it's by the water, it's pretty, it's nice. But if you're looking for a quieter place with more hot springs, fewer people, awesome Japanese shops, great food, and some of the best hydrangeas you'll ever see for all you flower fans out there, imagine a place where you can enjoy, it's called Ishiki Kaigan's gorgeous beach. You can have like a peaceful picnic, something sort of like that, along with those hydrangeas in Ajisai Park. You've got the historic 12th century Morimoto Daimyojin Shrine. You can explore a museum of modern art, and you can get a super beautiful clear day view of Mount Fuji from Morito Kaigan if the weather allows, all this, and it's a lot less packed. And where's this spot? It's Hayama, Kanagawa, and it's just south of Kamakura. So remember I said I had a few surprises. Before we jump into our top 2, here's a bit of an honorable mention. So this popular neighborhood is starting to show up in a lot of guidebooks, but really, to be honest, I feel like some of the places, because they do support English, are a bit of tourist, they're kind of tourist trappy. They have higher cover charges, which kind of discourages the bar hopping experience that people might be used to, wherever you're coming from. And in Japan, it's super common to have to pay a cover charge or a drink minimum before you're able to eat, or they'll tack on some sort of fee before you're able to drink or whatever. And so while you get a chance to see sort of these old traditional bars, izakaya, gastropubs, whatever you want to call them, and there's like 200 of them lined up in Golden Guy, it's cool, but it's often like now you're getting so many tourists that are coming that the people who are getting off of work, you're running into locals. And because people who are visiting the area don't really understand some of the cultural differences, like there's been stories of people not paying their bills, getting frustrated with the bar owner. I'm not gonna pay this cover charge or whatever, and the drink minimums and that whole thing. And it's lively and it's hype and it's dope and it's fun, but it's definitely not the kind of place either where I feel like, yeah, people have a good time in Japan, but in some ways Japan's a bit more conservative. So like it's not a place for singing loudly outside of the store where locals are hanging drinking at, you know what I mean, after you had a few drinks, or disrespecting the local women, or littering, and, you know, getting up and not paying or whatever. And so because the popularity is spiking because of these travel guides, like a lot of people are just flocking there. But like there's Omoide Yokucho in Shinjuku, which is kind of a direct one-to-one similar. It's a place that people might know. You've got Yurakucho's Garushita, another alternative. It has some cozy izakayas and authentic street food. You've got Hatsune Koji, which is in Nippori, which is probably more off the beaten path, a little quieter, more local people. Harmonica Yokucho is another one in Kichijoji that people might know or have been hearing a little bit more about. But to be honest, like if you're looking to escape the crowds or whatever, probably your best bet is going a couple streets over. Like you can probably find, if you just go off the beaten path a little bit, local bars and stuff, and locals will welcome you in. You know, there's certain etiquette you got to know. But if you avoid the tourist trap, then you'll have a good time. So definitely check out some of those spots. As we get into the top 2, let me know if you agree in the comments, or if I missed any places you think deserve a spot on the list. So number 2 on the list, I describe as sort of long queues up a mountain, trash sort of everywhere, disturbances that have kind of caused a ruckus, especially near this one particular Lawson that sparked some complaints for this iconic picture, and locals and business owners are not super happy. And despite all the tourists that come to the area, actually a lot less tourists just sort of stay overnight, so local hotels don't really benefit from the revenue that would typically bring. Traffic issues, the people, again, standing in the street trying to take pictures, disturbing kind of local things, definitely escalated the frustrations in Kawaguchiko. And as a result, recent regulations now include like a mountain climbing fee in Kawaguchiko, as I mentioned, which is one of the towns near the Yoshida Trail. And there's even now certain areas that completely are outright banning tourists. So an alternative to Fuji, I'd say, quick aside, when I was a kid, half of us went to one place called Kanamachi. The other half of us went to this particular city. So it's a bit close to home. If you're looking to escape sort of the touristy crowds and experience some of Japan's like natural beauty and kind of get captivated like you may see in movies and manga or whatever, I don't know. Just in Nishitama, Tokyo, there's a town that offers sort of these breathtaking views. They have a natural limestone cave, and literally it's about 90 minutes from Tokyo. You can go along the Toke Trail, you can do traditional Japanese inn stay or ryokan stay, visit a wasabi farm. There's even a sake brewery. Like Okutama Town isn't just a place to visit, it's a place where you can still experience that tranquil side of Japan without the overwhelming crowds that you'll find in Fuji. The idea of Fuji, I think, is something special, but in my opinion, to be real, like the number of people that are there that visit Fuji in the Kawaguchiko area, I think make it a bit difficult to appreciate in full. And so places like Okutama, I think, highlight the natural beauty and sort of maybe that oneness of nature that people might be looking for when they go to Fuji. And if you've already visited Hayama earlier in the list, you might have caught a glimpse of Mount Fuji anyway. So just a pro tip, check out Okutama Town. So number 1 on the list, I think this place in particular, and again, feel free to disagree with me in the comments, struggles with over-tourism the most. The place is super popular because it's got a ton of history. It's in Kyoto. It's a place where you can see Maiko, like these apprentice geisha at work. And because of sort of all those things and that unique experience of seeing these Maiko apprentice geisha, the area has felt the strain of its own popularity. Like you've got your standard issues like trash and higher prices, longer wait times, which I think absolutely can dampen the experience. But it's gotten so crowded like Arashiyama that a lot of locals feel like they can't even leave their homes during peak times. So it's not just businesses and restaurants. You have like these private residences, and those Maiko that I mentioned in Gion have been completely harassed. Like people chasing them to take pictures, all sorts of things, and it's become such a big news story that it's like made the international news, national news. And even though there's been signs and rules imposed to ban photos and slap fines on people who don't follow the rules, to not take pictures of private roads or follow Maiko around and some of those things, the problems still persist. And so you have this tension. And there's so many people who want to experience Kyoto and see Gion and do all of this stuff that I think it's really wrestling with over tourism. And so if you're trying to still get that quiet, traditional, deep cultural experience, meet Maiko, potentially see a performance or something like that, I think this location is for you. There's a place called Higashiyama Onsen where you can catch performance of Byakko the White Tiger from Japanese folklore. You can dine in some fancy restaurants where there are Maiko and geisha performance that kind of enhance the experience. The destination is super rich with attractions like Oyakuen Garden, and there's sites of famous samurai battles, and there's even the Aizuwakamatsu or samurai residence. And because of some of those battles, the place is called nicknamed the Samurai City. There's the reconstructed castle at Tsuruga Castle. Just grab a day guide if you're not up on your Japanese. And it's, I think, a refreshing change from like Gion, which is very over touristed, and I think it takes some pressure off a place like Gion, where like maybe someone will check a Maiko experience somewhere else. Aizuwakamatsu is about a 2-hour ride from Tokyo, followed by like a quick 9-minute taxi to that Higashiyama onsen that I mentioned. It's in Fukushima Prefecture, so it's actually a place that's super eager for people to come to see, and it's a perfect way to support a region that genuinely is welcoming. Their website's in English. There's a bunch of videos and things that they have. They're excited to welcome more tourists. Aizuwakamatsu, definitely check it out. So now that we're at this point in the video, I can admit the clips at the start were pretty extreme and served to really drive home a particular point. But it is super true in Japan that one bad tourist can ruin it for everybody. There's a lot of reasons why, but it's not that tourism in and of itself is bad. It's just that tourists don't really always know the rules that they're breaking, and that can really offend people in Japan. And so knowing these alternative cool spots to check out that I've given you is absolutely useless if you don't know how to respect the local culture and customs. So watch this video and I'll show you what mistakes to avoid so that you don't mess it up. Public challenge. Sorry.